It was a hot, dry morning in the summer of 2008. Rick Magnall was driving on the way from his trailer home in Three Rivers, California, to the community college where he worked in Visalia. He'd gone through all the morning routines, shaking out his clothes, pushing out the spiders and the scorpions, smashing them so they wouldn't sting him. It was going to be a good day. He was driving along, the sun was shining. On one side, a beautiful, tall wall of rock, the other, open space. When all of a sudden he felt a sting in the middle of his back. He jerked. The wheel turned and his car veered into the rock face, and then it spun out and was airborne. And he landed upside down, suspended from his seatbelt. He called 911, looking out at the road above, and he noticed a white pickup truck stopped by the side of the road. A man got out and walked towards him and walked over to him and just put his hand on Rick's shoulder. Rick tried to talk with him, but the man didn't speak any English. And then Rick got worried because he could see this man was an immigrant, and he was worried he knew police and fire trucks and ambulance were on their way. What would happen to this man? And he tried to tell him to go, to leave him. It was okay. But the man didn't understand what he was saying. But he did understand something that didn't require any words. He understood that Rick was in a tough place. He understood that Rick needed some support. And so he just stood there with his hand on Rick's shoulder until help arrived. This year, when Hidden Brain put out a request for unsung heroes, they're doing this new series, Rick called in to share his story. Because of the accident, what he remembers most is that moment with that man, with his hand on his shoulder. His one regret, as he shared on air, was that he wished he could go back and thank him. If Rick could make magic, if he could find this man and invite him over, what would he be saying thank you for? Would he be thanking him for stopping his truck? For walking over, for putting his hand on his shoulder? I mean, functionally, this man did nothing. He didn't call for help. He didn't have the tools to get Rick out of the car or medicines to make him feel better. He wasn't able to help him process his insurance claim or deal with the aftermath of the accident. So why is it that 13 years after the accident, Rick is still thinking about the man who stood there with his hand on his shoulder? Maya Angelou once said, "At the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They will remember how you made them feel." We remember presence. We remember the people who are there for us. We remember the people who stop what they are doing, not to solve our problems, not to resolve our challenges, but to be there with us as we face them down. That's something that Isaac gets deeply, in our parsha today. Isaac is a survivor. He survived a challenging home life. He survived losing a brother, losing a mother figure. He survived attempted filicide on the side of a mountain. He survived the betrayal of a God who would tell a father to go and sacrifice his son. He survived the loss of his mother. When we find him in our parsha today, he's out alone in the field. The rabbis teach he was out there praying, davening, connecting with God, lasuach basadeh. But I always imagine him a little like Rick Magnall, suspended in the broken vehicle of what was once his life, waiting for help to arrive, hoping for someone to be present for him. And then a white Ford truck pulls up. Rebecca and Eliezer crest the horizon on camelback. And as the sun sets, Rebecca sees Isaac for the first time. He's so pained. The rabbis teach that Abraham's knife had scarred up Isaac's face. And she can see both those external scars and the internal scars they reveal. And as her camel approaches, she's so overcome with emotion, she falls off her camel. She gets off her camel, she falls off her camel, she comes to Isaac. Theirs is the first love story. The first time the word for love, ahava, is used in the Torah. Vaye'ehaveha veinachem Yitzchak achrei imo. Isaac loved her and was comforted after the loss of his mother. He loved her. But why? In the text, she doesn't do anything. She doesn't get off her camel and hug him. She doesn't get off her camel and kiss him. She doesn't get off her camel and say, "Oh, honey, I can see you're in so much pain. My heart goes out to you. I'm here for you." Sure, Eliezer tells him about what she's done, but she doesn't do anything. So why? Why does Isaac love her? I think it may be presence. Rebecca leaves everything she's ever known. She leaves her family behind. She gets out of her life and she comes down to his level and she is present with Isaac, and that makes all the difference. All too often we have someone come to us, a young person. They come to us and they tell us they're having struggles in school, there's bullying, there's classroom problems, and we think we should give them answers. We're tempted to tell them about our own life, our own experience, to offer them constructive solutions and tell them what to do and what to say, but we forget that more often than not, they're not looking for answers. They just need presence. Or we have a friend that comes to us. They're having issues in their marriage or they're having issues at work, and we think they're coming to us because we have expertise. But no, more often than not, they're not looking for answers, they're looking for presence. Or a friend comes to tell us about their terrible, awful, no good day, and we start to try to make them feel better, and we forget that they're not looking for answers and they're not looking for a different perspective, they're just looking for presence. The truth is, all of us walk through life like Isaac. We walk through life holding the pain of what we've experienced, wandering around looking and hoping and waiting for someone to show up and see us, someone to get off their camel and be with us. We are wandering around looking for presence. Let me tell you another story. This one I just love. This year, in Shreveport, Louisiana. Southside High School was having a really tough time. Every day was punctuated by sirens and cries for help. They had gangs literally fighting in the hallways. It got so bad that in one 72-hour period, 23 students were arrested. That's not to mention all of the students that faced disciplinary action in school, suspensions, expulsions. They literally had brawls in the hallways, literally calling for help every day. We need backup. We need more security. We need backup, more security. Students punching administrators. It was on the local news every night. Newscasters would say, look, they would show security footage of students in the hallways out of control. And the report every night was no amount of backup, no amount of police presence, no amount of security is making a difference. Michael Lafitte II, a local dad, was watching the news. He got together a group of parents to talk about what was happening at Southside High School and what they could do. Michael and his friends realized that there's no one else in the world that could do what they could do because they're dads. And they decided to show up just as they are. They made these t-shirts that read, "Dads on Duty," brought with them their best corny dad jokes, and showed up for school the next morning. When kids walked in the doorway, the dads greeted them at the doorway with "good morning" and corny jokes. Your shoe's untied, it wasn't untied. They asked them how their day was, how their week was, teased them about life, just made it light and fun. And when it was time to go to class, they walked around and did a sweep to make sure everybody made it to where they needed to go. After the dads arrived on school, there were exactly 0 incidences of violence, 0 fights, 0 intensity. And not only that, but more students were going to class. The whole environment at the school changed. As one student shared on CBS News, "I immediately felt a form of safety. We stopped fighting." Another student added that since the dads started showing up, the school has just been happy. You can feel it. The dads don't have any special training. They're not criminal justice experts or psychologists or administrators or teachers. They're just dads. On one of these news reports, one of the reporters asked the kids, what exactly do the dads do? I mean, how is it that all of a sudden everybody's going to class? And this teenage girl says back, "Have you ever seen The Look?" They just look. They have the dad look. They look at them and the kids know they have to go to class. The look. Presence. These dads are showing up because they care, because they see the potential in every single student, and they know that not every student has a dad at home who cares about them. They know that not every student in that school even has an adult in their life who cares. But they've chosen to leave their jobs and to leave their lives and to come to school, to show up, to be present. Not because they have to, but because they get to, and that, for these kids, makes all the difference. These dads' presence has transformed the school, and it's a program they're hoping to unroll in the entire country. Presence matters. Which brings us back to us. We're not all dads, but all of us are on duty. Every day we walk by schools with challenging situations, people in pain, problems in need of solving. And we're not trained experts. For the most part, we're just trying to get by, trying to do our thing, trying to figure life out. But all of us know how to stop our Ford trucks. We know how to get off our camels. We know how to be present. At the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. People remember those who are present. Shabbat Shalom. Please rise, page 184.